One of my favorite statements in the boardroom is that hope is not a strategy. But when it comes to our patients, it's actually a feeling which is built on something much more tangible. It's built on experience and facts and on the truth of what's happening in our lives. When things get tough and our health is on the line, that same hope has to be grounded in understanding and knowledge and not just guesswork. Welcome to the Hope Court. और मैं आपका host Varun Khanna. Today, I'm actually joined with someone whose story has had a lasting impact on me. Most people, after spending 25 years at the top, at the best of their game, they actually start thinking of a very quiet, comfortable retirement. And I would think the same, by the way. At the age of 58 years, an age where most of us will be planning to slow down, Dr. M.I. Sahadulla did the exact opposite. He came back to his roots in Kerala to build something from scratch. And by the way, it was a big dream. And I wonder at times, did he need the money? And the answer is no. Was he looking to earn any fame while building something from scratch? Trust me, no. Did he need to prove anything to the world or to himself? Absolutely no. Yet again, he started to think of something called KIMSHEALTH, started to build it with a very simple but radical idea. That a patient in India deserves, and many moons back, I'm talking about 30 years back, that a patient in India needs the same class of safety, quality as any other patient in the world. Today he's a legend. The industry, as he continues to lead the national conversation on patient safety, clinical outcomes. However, when you talk to him, you realize that his real legacy isn't the multinational hospitals or the long list of awards that he has. His real legacy is actually his belief that kindness is a clinical tool. He spent 50 long years proving that while technology might cure a disease, it's empathy that heals as a person. Dr. M.I. Sahadulla, it's a privilege. Welcome to the Hope Court. So, Dr. Saab, let me start with something that really fascinates me about your career journey.
Sure.
You started the entrepreneurial journey, or you pivoted your career much later in life. You didn't have anything to prove, we know for sure. What was it about the Indian health system that prompted you to look at doing quality healthcare in India, and that too in Kerala?
Yeah, I think I always look back and, I had opportunities to go around in the world and also work in healthcare in various places, advanced countries, and also in a very advanced system in Aramco. I learned a lot of things during this period. And then I used to come for my vacation every year, at least a couple of times to India, and because my family is here and I was very connected. One of those times, my father had some experience which I thought that it was very unfortunate in my own state, in my own capital, and even in the in the place where he is familiar to me. So I thought that I thought with all that knowledge and some wealth, of course, I gained. Have I done enough to our country? And don't you think that we really deserve better? Our people deserves better, and our healthcare of the nation deserves better. And of course, there is a lot of effort everywhere. People are trying, but I thought I should also contribute to that, and that is the main incentive for me, really to come back and start a venture of some kind. I never thought that I can do even this, humble amount of contribution when we started. But I thought always try and fail better than not trying at all. That's what I...
Fantastic. So let me get something more out of you. It was about 30 years back, right? So doctor, what was missing when you saw healthcare around? What did you find lacking? What did you think you wanted to create which could fill the need gap that the country had?
Yeah, I think we lacked many things in healthcare compared to the outside advanced world. And it was not, we always blame lack of money and that's why we are not doing these things. I never believed that. Honestly, I believe that it's a little bit of a underdeveloped mind is more a factor not to be a developed, healthcare. So what we were lacking is mainly a discipline, a system, a system-oriented practice, and patient safety aspects, and concern and compassion for the patients. The concern is a very important word. I always really project everywhere to my colleagues and my doctors, because that concern really makes you different, and that makes you conscientious. And so in fact, that was the main lacking. You can always say about a better lab, better pathology, better diagnostics, all that might have been there. But if you have a concern, many of these shortcomings, you can face it.
Oh, fantastic. That's why I guess you say empathy heals. And I've heard you say that many times.
You said it, that it's empathy heals.
Yeah, I understand, Dr. what you're saying. So, Dr. I still want to stick to around that era when you were studying, then you started working. I'm sure you learned a lot from your fellow colleagues who were your seniors. You learned a lot from textbooks. Today that I have the opportunity of talking with you, and this is one question that's pained me quite a bit. I'm going to be straight. Did you learn from your patients? Were there times when it was not the textbook, but it was the patient that taught you? So, two parts to the question maybe. One is, what did you really learn from the patient? And two, how did you then percolate it down into the system at large that you operate today?
Yeah, that's a very interesting aspect of healthcare as a whole. You touch on the entire ecosystem, honestly. The important thing is that we need a basic qualification, basic textbook knowledge and all. And but I always believe that there is a lot more to learn. And in fact, I always think that a mentoring, a learning after the graduation or post-graduation, or let us say subspecialty qualification, that is what makes you a doctor and a clinician,
right?
And not the textbook knowledge. And I learned a lot from the patients, and every patient tells you a story. And if you have the ears to understand and listen, and then you are a learner all through your lifetime. If I may just to say, a 12-year-old girl, when even here after we started this hospital, came with an acute myocardial infarction. A 12-year-old is unheard of to get a heart attack and an acute myocardial. And so that girl had a vascular disease which caused it. And so we treated her, and fortunately she came all right. But she had a very weak myocardium, a weak heart muscle. And therefore we advised her not to get married. And she grew up and she became 18 or 19. And no, she did not listen. She got married. Then we advised her, please don't get pregnant because your heart cannot take it. And she did not listen. She got pregnant. Then we advised her, terminate all our, this is not a single individual or something. A team, a board met and said that, no, you have to terminate. She said, no, I am not going to terminate. We are going to have a baby. Believe me, this is about 16, 17 years story I'm saying. And even today, the girl is living happily with her husband and with that child. So I think there are so many things beyond textbooks and beyond your philosophy. And life teaches you and the patient teaches you. So that's why I say every patient has a story to say. And that.
What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful story. And I'm sure you've had so many of them. You've heard and seen patients for the last 5 decades. There's another thing that I wanted to understand from you. Over the last 5 decades, how is the patient changed? What is the patient expectation evolution journey? And give me a little sense. Has it been very different in the last decade or two as compared to what it was 5 decades back? So how have you seen the patient expectation and understanding evolving over these last 5 decades?
See, over the years, I think change is inevitable, and the changes have come. And last 5 decades, if you look at it, there's tremendous, changes in all fields of life, all walks of life. So certainly it's bound to occur in healthcare also. So even our patients have changed, and the patients who were less informed about 20 years ago, and they are much better informed. They have the information technology, the Google review, the social media at their fingertip, and sometimes they may not be getting the right information at the right context, but at least they come with a lot of information. And then, of course, unfortunately, in our society, doctors and other people give a little misconceptions and ideas about diseases. You should have done this and you should have done that. So they are coming with a lot of information, and which is a challenge for a doctor. So when we look at it, and also technology. Technology has changed quite a bit in these 20 years. Yes. So certainly our patients also changed. But let me tell you at the bottom, patients are not coming for any of this. They are coming for care. They want to be heard. They want to be touched. They want to be explained. They want you to be transparent. They want you to be honest. And so that is their basic expectation. And that is where I say that with all the technology, all the social media and all the information they have, if you go with the basic stuff, you will still win over the patient, and you will be able to make them understand and satisfy, with, of course, you use technology. For the diagnostics have come up very well. And in fact, our hospital has got wonderful diagnostics with radiology, pathology, and lab medicine. But with all that, you should communicate to the patient in the correct way, and that's what they are looking at.
So it's a very people business. You've always spoken about, it's a people business for people. And when people are delivering, and so many people, I imagine that organizations or healthcare companies have a large set of people working together, and it's a very process-driven industry as well. I'm sure there will be challenges in patient care. I hear stories daily, sometimes delays, sometimes communication, what you alluded to, and sometimes, everybody comes with positivity in mind, and sometimes there are adverse outcomes as well. So how is that dealt with? How big of that is a challenge in patient care?
The healthcare delivery, even today with all the automation, is still so much people oriented compared to any other service industry. So people process and the patient care activities are so related. So what happens is that, in a way you can say that for the people, by the people. So naturally you can make mistakes, conflicts will come up, any day it is quite possible. How we handle this is an important area where we should have a lot of satisfaction or from the patient side. And so when we always take it that the patient is right, and we listen to the patient, and if he definitely has a case, we definitely sympathize with him and also give him, for example, there is a patient who delayed, was seen with a lot of delay in an appointment. We certainly return his consultation fee, and even we will offer him another consultation free for him in the next visit when he can make it. And so the other thing is, when he is waiting for a doctor and the doctor is going out for an emergency, sometimes we do not bother to tell the patient that, we call the patient as a guest, so I feel it odd sometimes. So we tell the guest that, sorry, I have to attend an emergency and I will come back in 15 minutes. that really diffuses all the conflicts. And so some of these activities which we do, to be on the patient side, to listen to him and to be transparent to him, has really given us a very good outcome, very good patient satisfaction or patient experience. And that's how we handle it.
Dr. Saab, in our conversation today, you've already touched upon empathy, you've touched upon compassion. But I wonder at times, with thousands of people, 40,000 associates that you have in the proposed merged entity, how does that compassion get delivered at every touch point through every single soul? So how are you able to manage that? How do you actually carry the thoughts that you have around the patient, delivered to the patient through the 40,000 people that work in the company?
Yeah, that's a great challenge what we have to face. And this is important because I think the most sustainable factor in healthcare today, as you mentioned, it is empathy and compassion and the courtesy you extend that. We have to bring that into our basics, into our work culture, and we have to integrate that. And it should become a gene, not only for the doctors, to the nurses, as well as all the other paramedical staff and the hospital staff. Once it becomes a gene, and wherever they go, in fact, they cannot work in another atmosphere where this is not given enough importance.
Right.
So now at a time when we talk about unity and a big merger of hospitals, we should be very, very methodically make this model and take it across to all the hospitals, and maybe it will take a bit of time, but by proper training and development, and also intermingling of interactions between various consultants who have that DNA quality in them between institutions, will certainly impart that quality part to other hospitals also. We have a lot of doctors going from Trivandrum and going to other hospitals also from Trivandrum, and that is how we could sustain that kind of a ecosystem with compassion and empathy. And so at a time when we are joining and becoming a much bigger entity in India, I think we should look at this as a positive measure for us.
Fantastic. I think our patients today would have got to know a lot about empathy, compassion, how it gets delivered, and how, if something goes wrong, that gets corrected by the right attitude of all associates across the company. So it's fantastic, Dr. Saab. I think we'll switch over from the patient to the ability the KIMS health system has created over the years. My first question is, now that your network is a part of a very large healthcare company and you're a part of 10,500 beds post the proposed merger, thousands of doctors. So there are two questions that come to my mind, and if you have 6,000 to 8,000 doctors, how do you really ensure that the patient gets to see the right doctor? Because so many doctors, I'm sure you have multiple cardiologists, multiple orthopedicians. So how do you really ensure that the patient is seeing the right doctor? I'm sure the patient has a preference, but if not, how do you get them to the right doctor? And also touch upon some of the capabilities, the clinical capabilities that KIMS Health has developed, which are today class leading in the country.
Yeah. Two aspects to that question, and the first one is I will touch upon the first one, and the first one is that how really we make our guests to see the right doctor. And actually, many times in the initial stages, the receptionists have referred patients to very, very wrong specialties, and all that happened. And after that, we started a system by which all these people are given continuous learning and training and development, and that continuous training and development make them orientation and they are well oriented to specialities at the moment. And that system, even the CEOs and the COOs and the CFOs, everyone takes classes for all the people down the line. And so they know the specialities which have come, and so also the equipment which have come.
Right.
And so these people at the reception, at the ER, at the OP should know what we have. And so this continuous teaching or training and development has tremendously helped. Then the other factor also, of course, if there is a turnover of employees and staff continuously, even the biggest system can really defeat it. However, we always look at the retention as a major factor. So 10 years, 15 years, 18 years, 20 years is the kind of retention we have. So we should also focus across our organization that kind of a retention, and that retention will add value when you are giving continuous training and development. Many modern hospitals and even Aramco had it continuous. The onboarding is tremendous, about 2-3 months it is given, and even working on the job training. And then even after you settled, continuous training of all these. So this cannot be beaten. And in fact, that investment comes doubled up in your earnings in the long run, in a nature of sustainability.
Hiring today in India or across the world is difficult. How do you look for new talents?
We will select only from some of the.
So I wanted to understand from you, what are the clinical specialities that you have developed that are class leading today in the country?
Basically, what we have done is that
consultant availability 24 hours in 9 specialities. So tell me, why is it that you talk about these things and not just technology?
That way of communication is because today healthcare is spending a lot of money.
Are you planning to write a book so that all of this can be learned by many other hospitals across the country?
I have written a book called